What if I told you the craziest Cowboys conversation of this offseason is not really about what Dallas already did, but about what Dallas could still do if the NFL world shifts just a little bit? Yeah, listen, because this is where it gets spicy. Myles Garrett is still officially a Cleveland Brown. We know that. Andrew Berry said it, the Browns keep saying it, and on paper they're trying to cool everything down. But then ESPN reports the contract language gets modified, the option bonus timing gets pushed back, the structure gets adjusted, and suddenly the whole league starts looking at this thing sideways like, hold on now, why does that feel more movable than before? And that is exactly why Cowboys fans should not scroll past this one, because Dallas is not sitting here with a perfect defense that has nothing left to fix. The Cowboys have already shown they know this defense needed a reset, and that is why they traded for Myles Garrett and added veteran help in the secondary. But let's be real, when we say Myles Garrett, we are talking about a serious move. When we say Myles Garrett, we are talking about a whole different level of terror. A whole different level of game wrecker, the kind of player that changes protections, changes game plans, changes the entire NFC picture. And you know what makes this conversation feel alive? Timing. That is the word. Not hype, not fantasy, timing. Because if Cleveland starts the year shaky again, if that quarterback room stays messy, if the Browns realize they're still not close enough, then all of a sudden that career Brown line starts sounding like off-season PR instead of permanent truth. And if there is any franchise built to jump into a superstar conversation when the opportunity suddenly opens, it is the Dallas Cowboys. Because Jerry Jones does not need 10 invitations to chase a headline. He needs one opening, one crack in the door, one path where he can tell himself this is the move that puts Dallas right back into serious contention. Imagine this defense with Myles Garrett screaming off the edge, Myles Garrett crashing from the other side, offenses panicking, quarterback speeding up, Christian Parker dialing pressure, Cowboys Nation losing his mind every Sunday. That is not a small move. That is a statement move. That is a we are done playing nice move. That is a watch us in January move. And no, I'm not telling you it's done. I'm telling you the possibility is fascinating, the fit is obvious, and the upside is absolutely ridiculous. So, if this rumor ever gets real, Dallas should not hesitate, not blink, not overthink, not act scared. Go get the monster and let the whole league deal with it. Cowboys fans, tell me right now, would you push all the chips in for Myles Garrett if the door opens? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's keep riding with the boys.